with the neck, or with the head, so it doesn't really say this in the Swedish recipe, but, and you can do the head as light, you know, or as strong as the people want. And really think about, with the head, the hands, and the feet, think about covering every single little square inch, you know, every single little square centimeter of the scalp. What really feels nice is if you want to study the sutures, which is where the plates of the skull come together, those are really nice places to work on, and that feels really good for the body. So that's kind of a nice idea to get, you know, some information. And then we learned about the temporalis muscle yesterday, right? We worked on that a little bit. So that's a really good place to spend some time and work very thoroughly through all those little areas. So that's where, you know, if you develop like kind of some type of method, you know, of going across the scalp with your fingertips very carefully, you know, and you do it the same on every person, then you're going to be more effective and you're going to be more efficient with your work. Okay, so another thing that you can do for the scalp is you can take your palms right on where the scalp and the forehead come together and just kind of do some really, you know, firm circles. Everybody do this on yourself right now. This feels really good. Isn't that nice? Yeah, so that's a nice way to move all the fascia. If your hands are tired, your thumbs are tired, you can use your palms. Okay, so then we only did like the top of the scalp down to here. So in order to get the back of the scalp, we're just gonna turn the head a little bit, and then we can, you know, spend some time on the suboccipital muscles on this side. We can work on the temporalis a little more. We can work on there's a little muscle back here called the occipitalis. It's very thin. So we can just work more specifically on the side and the back of the scalp, depending on how much time you have. Then again, just turn the head again. So I don't have to actually hold the head, you know. I don't have to like mash it, just very gently. And then I can get in and do a little more, make sure I cover all the little parts of the scalp. Okay, so, right, all right, so that's that. Behind the ears, so I'm gonna show you. So this is the mastoid process right here. The styloid process is lower, and that does not feel good. But right here, there's actually attachments for the sternocleidomastoid. Push your head up into my fingers. There's our sternocleidomastoid muscle, and it goes right up here behind our ear. Relax, please. So this feels really nice to just rub back and forth like that, right behind the ear. And then, you know, when you're working the ear, you don't have to kill it, you know, just something gentle. But it's nice to really get all the little pieces. There's a lot of acupuncture points in the ear, and so it's nice. I mean, obviously, if they have jewelry like this, you want to be careful with that. But, I mean, all the little parts of the ear. Okay, and then there's actually kind of a craniosacral technique where you rotate the ears and just slightly traction them outward away from the head. And this is supposed to massage kind of the meninges around the brain, which, you know, you may or may not try. You can try it on yourselves and just see if you like it or not. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like driving Dumbo, you know. And then, a nice way, once you're done, you've all been doing a really nice job with the face. One way to finish the face is just to put your hands over the eyes. Just pause and take a deep breath. It's okay to just pause, and hold spots when you're working. And then hold over the ears. That's a nice way to finish with the face. Okay. So, and then if you're transitioning to another part of the body, one way to do that is with joint manipulation. So joint mobilization, joint manipulation. So we're not doing chiropractic, but we're just jostling the joints a little bit. And there's actually nerves inside the joints, proprioceptors, that tell the body where the body is in space and how much torsion, how much stress is going on the joints. So it's nice just to, before you get to an area, just to kind of say hello to it with some joint manipulation. In terms of putting oil on, generally like about a dime or a quarter is plenty to start with. And then, you don't have to like totally get it super warm. I mean, just a little tiny bit is good if your hands are warm. And then, just slowly kind of introduce yourself. My hands are unfortunately cold this morning. I'm sorry about that. So this is probably too much oil for her. But for a Swedish massage, I'm going to make it work. So this is how you can do some effleurage for the neck when you put the oil on. So notice how I just covered the whole neck and chest. And then I have to go back and do it again. I don't need any more oil. Okay, so this stroke, some of the students in the past have called this a rainbow. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing with my fingertips up into the cervical erector muscles right next to the spinous processes, and I'm kind of making like an arc. And then I lighten up when I get to the hairline, and then I reach down below C7 and pull up again. So there's a slight tractioning, I'm using the weight of the body to push into that musculature. And then you can do it bilaterally, so both sides at the same time. And this is where you can even do little tiny circles with your top fingers there, all the way on those erector muscles, just right in the laminar groove. Remember we talked about the laminar groove? Somebody go over and show us the laminar. Christine, go over and point to the laminar groove in the cervical spine.
Is that from the processes to like the...
So it's feel that curve between the ones that stick out in the back. Yeah, so it's that curve. So go all the way up to the skull. Yeah, that's the laminar groove right there. So that's where your fingers are working. Yeah, right next to the spinous processes. And then you go ahead and point on the skeleton. You're going to count the vertebrae down to about T10. Yeah, you can get your fingers right about even down to there. So T8, T10, and then do some work up. And it can be lighter too. Doesn't have to be, really heavy. But that can feel really, really nice. All right? So then, so that's just putting on the oil, saying hello to the back of the neck a little bit. Okay, then when I want to work on the front of her neck, I need to turn her head to open that neck up. So the way to turn the head is with the occiput and the temple, and boom, her head's nice and turned, okay? So then, remember, this is an endangerment site on the medial aspect of her sternocleidomastoid, so I can just do some broader work with my flat fingertips and then come down and trace the clavicle, come off. So this is how you make this flowy. So you could use, you know, your whole flat aspect of your thumb here if you want to do more specific work. So I think your recipe says effleurage, but you can do, you know, some petrissage at this point. So this can, you know, this, and there's a lot of sensitive structures in here, so you don't have to put a ton of pressure. We're just doing Swedish right now. We're not doing neck rehab. Okay. So then if I want to do her trapezius a little more, which we know likes the pressure and can take it, I'm going to put my hand on the back of her head, and I can really sink my open fist in here. And you can put a fair amount of pressure like that. You can also go up towards the skull, just kind of stretching. Yeah. Okay, then, so now I'm here. I'm going to stand looking at her and just do some broad sweeping strokes. So this is to push the platysma and the fascia around all of the scalenes, the SCM, down to the table. So it's actually, you know, firm, broad, but lighter pressure on the front of the neck. Feels really good. And then, I know Audrey's like, oh my God, don't do that. It'll be okay. And then you can grab onto, and this is too much oil for this, but you can grab onto the trapezius, which goes all the way up to the occiput, and knead that muscle down to the table in this position. And this feels really lovely. You can see she's starting to smile a little bit. Okay, nice, good. So if that's hard for your thumb for whatever reason, you can also just, you know, try with your fingertips, just doing some work there. You could easily do some circles with the flat fingertips here that could be equally as effective. Okay, so I'm done with that. So notice how my hands are like, oh, okay, a little effleurage to connect and flow and move my hands where I want it to go. So you don't want to pick your hands up and move them to the next stroke. You want to glide them to the next stroke. Okay, so I can throw in a couple little rainbow strokes in between, going to the other side. I turn the head, and then I can start in. So your petrissage can go in degrees. So you can, you know, start lighter and then work a little more stronger. Okay, some people do not like their neck worked on at all, and so you don't have to work on the neck. But it's a very important, it does a lot of work, and it's important that that neck is pretty comfortable. If it's not, people feel it, they get headaches, and it can really affect how the whole body works. People have a lot of trauma from car accidents and whiplash, and there's a lot of soft tissue in here that needs attention. So it's good to get comfortable working with the neck if you're a massage therapist. Okay, so no, I mean, all my pressure is lateral to her SCM, so it's very safe to do. Okay, now, in order to throw in a few strokes for the pectoralis muscles, what I'm going to do is just stay here before I turn her head and really broadly and firmly just do a few strokes on the opposite side of the body. To finish up. And then the last little thing that's kind of nice and fun is this craniosacral hold between the atlas and axis. And so my hands are just allowing her head to just soften and relax. You'll notice people taking a deep breath, and you can hold this for as long as you want. This requires some hand strength, so you don't have to do this. This is an extra thing. Obviously, if people have neck issues and you're concerned, this would not be something that you'd want to do. But for healthy people, this can feel really lovely. Has anybody ever had this done before? Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. So then slowly, whenever you go into the body, you always come out slowly. So now I'm just rubbing her suboccipital muscles just to say goodbye, just to kind of be done here. And then I'm gonna just pause for a second. This is where I would transition to get ready for working on the arms. So I want to make sure her shoulders are covered. If I'm going to bolster her neck, this will be the time to do it. So I might say I'm just going to make a little noise here. And I could pick the head up from under the occiput, position the bolster, and cover up the eyes. Okay, if you have a face rest cover, you could do that. Is this okay for you?
Mm-hmm.
You comfy?
Yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead and move your head around if you need to in any way, shape, or form, okay? Okay. I think